If you want to be the best, you gotta take out the best.
You gotta give the people what they want.
You don't want to fight. Then what the hell are you doing here? Oh, this is awkward.
Hold up.
So none of that stuff is true then? Not even that part about your dad wrapping his drunk ass around that tree? What were you doing in the passenger seat?
You ready? Get some, baby.
You ain't got shit!
The night sky looms over a high school football stadium. The crowd roars as the Knights line up for the final play. On defense, Jake Tyler charges forward, slamming into his opponent with brutal force. His team cheers, but the other side grows restless. When the whistle blows again, a rival player taunts Jake about his father, who died in a drunk driving crash. The insult cuts deep. Rage flashes in Jake's eyes as he explodes into a tackle, not just on one player, but on anyone who stands in his way. The field erupts into chaos. Fists fly, helmets crash, and referees lose control. Later, bruised and dirty, Jake walks back to the locker room. His reputation as a troublemaker follows him. A teammate invites him to a party, but Jake declines. His family is moving to Orlando, and tonight he is to pack. The storm from the game is just the beginning. Back home, tension lingers. His mother scolds him for fighting again, while Jake stays silent. In the garage, he helps his younger brother Charlie prepare for the move. Charlie's a rising tennis player, the reason they're relocating to Florida. As they shift boxes, one tips over, revealing belongings from their late father. The memories sting. Jake hides his emotions, calling it junk, but the pain lingers inside. The next morning, Jake walks through the halls of his new high school. He stays quiet, keeping his head down, but trouble finds him quickly. In the courtyard, he sees a student being pummeled by another while a crowd cheers. Jake steps in, trying to help, only to be shoved aside. The boy taking hits turns out to be a willing fighter. The message is clear. Jake has stepped into a world where violence is entertainment. In class, silence falls when the teacher calls on a blonde girl named Baha. Before she can answer, Jake speaks up, giving the correct response. Afterward, Baha thanks him. Their brief conversation is warm, almost playful, until her friends appear and pull her away. That evening, Jake sits at dinner with his family. His mom asks about school, but Jake brushes her off. The distance between them grows. At lunch the next day, the same boy from the fight, Max, sits with him. Max explains that Jake's last football brawl has gone viral online. Everyone's seen the video. Jake tries to ignore it, but whispers follow him everywhere. As he leaves school, a car slows beside him. Baha leans out, teasing him before slipping him a party address. She wants him to come. Jake hesitates for a moment, then decides he will. But what happens at that party will change everything. That night, Jake arrives at an impressive mansion filled with music, drinks, and a buzzing crowd. Inside, he spots Max with a camcorder, filming every moment. Together, they weave through the party, where Jake finally meets Ryan McCarthy, the confident and intimidating host. Ryan doesn't waste time showing Jake the real attraction. On the balcony, a crowd circles as students fight in a makeshift ring. It's raw, unsanctioned combat, brutal, and exciting. Jake watches, unsettled yet intrigued. Ryan notices his curiosity, smirking as if testing him. Soon, Baha arrives, catching Jake's attention, but Ryan steps in, pulling her close. The tension builds as whispers spread. Ryan wants Jake to fight. The crowd pushes for it, chanting, waiting. Jake refuses, insisting he's not here for that. Ryan plays dirty. He provokes Jake by kissing Baha in front of him. The humiliation stings, but Jake still turns away. As he tries to leave, Ryan blocks his path. Then he twists the knife deeper, mocking the death of Jake's father. The words ignite a fire Jake can't contain. He shoves Ryan, and the challenge becomes official. Gloves are strapped on, and the rules are set. Clean fight, knockout, or tap out. The crowd erupts as Jake throws the first punches. He's fast and aggressive, landing shots that stagger Ryan. But Ryan is calm, calculating. He counters with precision, flipping Jake to the ground and striking hard. Each move shows years of training. Jake struggles, trying to rise, but Ryan punishes him with brutal kicks and crushing blows. The fight drags on, one-sided and merciless. Jake's face is bloodied, his body broken. Finally, Ryan lands a decisive kick that knocks him out cold. The crowd cheers, flashing cameras capture the moment, and Jake lies humiliated on the floor. Hours later, Max helps him back to his apartment. His swollen face tells the story of defeat. When Jake wakes the next morning, his little brother Charlie notices the bruises, but says nothing. At school, the humiliation spreads faster than the injuries heal. Everyone talks about the fight. At lunch, Baha walks away from her friends, ashamed of Ryan's cruelty. Meanwhile, Jake isolates himself at home. The pain of failure and the weight of his father's memory crash down. But then Max appears at his door, offering something new, a chance to train with his coach, Jean Rokwa. He hands Jake a CD full of fighting footage, promising it could change everything. Jake tries to brush him off, but the idea lingers. Soon, he follows Max to Rokwa's gym. Inside, the air is tense with discipline. Fighters train with intensity, led by Rokwa himself, calm, powerful, and focused. At first, Rokwa dismisses Jake, but seeing his determination, he lets him join the beginner's class. The training is brutal. Circuits push Jake to his limits, forcing him to climb ropes, sprint, and spar with experienced students. He's quickly humbled, thrown to the mat by a smaller fighter, forced to tap out, even knocked unconscious. Yet every failure fuels his resolve. Rokwa notices Jake's reckless anger, warning him that fighting outside the gym is forbidden. One violation, and he's gone. Jake nods, but inside, his rage hasn't yet been controlled. For now, he has a teacher, a path forward, and a chance at redemption. But what happens outside the gym threatens to destroy it all. Jake throws himself into training, arriving an hour early the next morning. Rokwa studies him closely, testing his breathing, his rhythm, his patience. Jake is strong but uncontrolled, wasting energy on brute force instead of balance. Rokwa demonstrates how each strike flows with breath, smooth and calm, while Jake stumbles to keep up. Despite the struggle, progress shows. The other students begin to respect him, and even Rokwa offers faint approval. Yet at home, his mother is less convinced. She finds the gloves in his bag, realizing what he's been doing. Her voice is stern. No more fighting. Jake stays quiet, knowing he can't give this up. One evening, Baha visits. She wants to explain her part in the party ambush, insisting things went too far. She admits she stayed with Ryan because it was easier to fit in, not because she wanted to. But Jake is unmoved, still seeing her as part of his humiliation. She leaves in tears, and the distance between them remains. At the gym, frustration grows. During sparring, Jake fights with too much anger, his movements sharp and reckless. Rokwa tries to calm him, but Jake won't listen. Finally, Rokwa throws him out, telling him to come back when he learns control. Later, Max drives Jake home. On the way, a driver blares his horn from behind, refusing to stop. The sound triggers something in Jake. He explodes out of the car, attacking the men inside the other vehicle. Fists fly in the street, brutal and fast. Max records it all on his camera, and by the next day, the video is everywhere. Jake is famous again, but for the wrong reasons. At school, whispers grow louder. Baha, now distant from Ryan, can't ignore Jake's spiral. Ryan himself notices too, mocking him in front of others, feeding the rivalry. The tension between them simmers, ready to boil over. Jake returns to the gym, but Rokwa isn't impressed. He's already seen the bruises, the wounds on Jake's hands. The rule is clear, and Jake broke it. Without hesitation, Rokwa expels him from training. Jake begs for another chance, but the door is closed. Defeated, he drifts through the city, carrying the weight of his failures. Then, in a quiet grocery store, he finds Rokwa again. This time, Jake opens up. He admits the truth about his father, about the guilt that consumes him. He says the gym is the only place where the anger fades, where he feels in control. Rokwa listens in silence before finally speaking of his own past. His younger brother, a gifted fighter, killed after a barroom fight escalated. His father blamed him, and he has carried the guilt ever since. That pain drove him to exile, living in the gym, teaching others so they might avoid his mistakes. Something shifts between them. For the first time, Rokwa sees Jake not as a reckless fighter, but as someone broken, searching for a way forward. He lets him return. Training resumes, harder than ever. Endless push-ups, sprints along the beach, grueling sparring sessions. Rokwa teaches not just fighting, but discipline, control of mind as much as body. Slowly, Jake transforms. At home, his bond with Charlie strengthens. He shows up at his brother's tennis match, cheering from the sidelines. Their mother notices too, surprised by the change. For the first time in years, Jake seems steady, but Ryan isn't done. His pride refuses to let Jake rise without challenge. Soon, his next move will drag Jake into a fight he can't walk away from. Training intensifies as the weeks pass. Jake pushes through grueling workouts, his strikes sharper, his defenses stronger. Roqua forces him to focus on discipline, not anger, reminding him that control decides the outcome of every fight. For Jake, it becomes more than training, it becomes survival. One evening, Baha approaches him again. This time, Jake listens. She admits that staying with Ryan was about fear, not loyalty. She never wanted Jake hurt, and she regrets letting things go so far. Her honesty softens him, and at last, he apologizes for pushing her away. They share a quiet moment, a kiss that feels like a truce. Meanwhile, Ryan grows restless. The attention shifting toward Jake fuels his temper. When Baha finally walks away from him for good, Ryan lashes out, gripping her arm until Jake steps in. Ryan smirks, mocking Jake's father again, before walking off. The insult lingers, burning deep. At school, Ryan sees an opening. He corners Jake, mocking him once more before issuing a challenge. The beatdown, the underground tournament where fighters prove who's truly the best. The whole school buzzes with anticipation, waiting to see if Jake will accept. Jake tries to resist, but Ryan's presence looms everywhere. When Max excitedly explains the scale of the tournament, the crowd, the prestige, the violence, Jake begins to understand what's at stake. Still, he hesitates, knowing Roqua's warning is clear. One more fight outside the gym, and he's finished. But Ryan doesn't leave it at words. He lures Max to his house under false pretenses, then brutally beats him, leaving him battered on Jake's doorstep. Seeing his friend broken, Jake's rage returns stronger than ever. Baha pleads with him not to take the bait, but it's too late. Before he leaves, Roqua intercepts him. Jake is ready to storm off, but Roqua finally speaks the truth he's been hiding. If he could turn back time, he would have stopped the fight that killed his brother. He admits his mistake was letting anger decide the outcome. He warns Jake not to repeat it. Jake listens, torn between rage and discipline. Roqua doesn't stop him, but his words linger, control the outcome. That night, Jake packs his gear and walks past his mother. She doesn't argue. She knows this is his fight. The beatdown awaits. The night of the beatdown arrives. The crowds pour into the underground venue, the air thick with anticipation. The arena glows under dim lights as music pounds and fighters prepare backstage. For many, it's the ultimate test. And for Jake, it's the moment everything has led to. The first match begins, a brutal knockout that electrifies the audience. Jake steps forward for his turn, facing his opponent with calm focus. The training shows. His strikes are precise, his defense controlled. Round after round, he advances, each victory hard-fought but disciplined. Across the brackets, Ryan dominates with calculated aggression. Every move is sharp, every hit designed to punish. He watches Jake from a distance, filing away weaknesses, waiting for his chance. In the quarterfinals, Jake takes a vicious kick to the ribs. The pain is sharp, nearly dropping him. Backstage, he clutches his side, struggling to breathe. Baha finds him there, offering words of encouragement and a kiss that steadies his resolve. Her presence fuels him to continue. Meanwhile, Ryan crosses the line. In his semi-final match, he jabs a thumb into his opponent's eye. The referee halts the fight immediately, disqualifying him despite the protests of his crew. Ryan's fury is instant, but the rule stands. He's out of the tournament. Jake prepares for his semi-final bout, but here's the news. Without Ryan in the bracket, the fight means nothing. His reason for being here is gone. He taps out seconds into the match, leaving the tournament unfinished. But outside, Ryan waits. The disqualification hasn't dimmed his hunger. As Jake and Baha step toward the parking lot, Ryan blocks the path, demanding the fight he feels was stolen from him. The crowd follows, surrounding them in the open night air. There are no referees, no rules. Only two rivals settling the score. Ryan strikes first, targeting Jake's injured ribs with ruthless precision. Every blow sends waves of pain, weakening Jake's stance. Ryan seizes his neck, choking tight, refusing to let go as the crowd chants for blood. Baha screams for Jake to stop, but he holds on, refusing to tap. Drawing on every lesson from Roqua, every moment of guilt and grief, Jake steadies himself. He shifts his weight, breaks free from the choke, and counters with a flurry of strikes. Each punch lands with purpose, each kick fueled by control rather than rage. Finally, he unleashes a clean, devastating roundhouse kick that drops Ryan to the ground. The crowd falls silent, then erupts. Jake stands over his fallen rival, breathing hard but calm. Ryan looks up, beaten and broken. For the first time, his pride cracks. He nods in respect, and Jake returns it, no words needed. The rivalry ends not with anger, but with recognition. In the aftermath, Roquefort decides it's time to return to Brazil, ready to face his past. Jake, standing tall, has finally found balance. For the first time, he walks away from a fight not as a brawler, but as someone in control of himself. The war inside him is over.